Good evening and welcome. My name is Patrick Sieb. I'm Executive Director of Destination Medical Center Economic Development Agency. It's really great to have all of you here tonight gathered in this environment and really in a very important place to talk about the message that we have in front of you around connectedness and how important connection is in community growth and community building. And this place was intentionally selected because I think it conveys an important part of our message. And we're going to hear from 4 speakers tonight who are going to, I think, share a perspective that reflects on this notion of connection. And you're going to hear from, well, actually, I'm going to save the introduction of our sort of tada. We have a tada every year at these events, and I'm going to save that introduction until the end. But you'll be hearing from okay, we're going to hear from Wafa El Khalifa. We're going to hear from Dr. Clark Otley, but first we're going to hear from our mayor, Kim Norton. And I just want to say, as I invite her to the stage, that I have known and worked with many mayors across the Twin Cities, different parts of the country, and there is no mayor better than our mayor, Mayor Kim Norton. So, Mayor.
That was very sweet. Thank you. Appreciate that. So 10 years ago, I had the honor of authoring and working to pass the Destination Medical Center Initiative up in St. Paul. At that time, we had 2 very specific challenges here in Rochester. Our city was poised to grow at a rate that our tax base could not keep up with, and research showed that residents, workers, and visitors wanted more than we had the capacity to provide. This meant, without action, that we, a city, county, and our state, could miss out on the improved quality of life, the new jobs, the growing tax base, and future private investments. I am so proud of how our entire state came together at the Capitol, rallying behind Rochester, Minnesota. And I will say, we have lots of new legislators, so there's lots of continuing education about our wonderful city that needs to happen. So it's been 8 years since the DMC development plan was approved, and Rochester has been strategically investing in dedicated DMC funds in our community, and we're already seeing many improvements throughout our downtown that are important to our city's health and future, such as our investments below ground. It's often forgotten, and it's not very sexy or very exciting, but the development, the investment that we have made for those types of infrastructure investments means that we are assuring connection to vital services, these vital services to homes and businesses downtown, and that allows us to continue to grow. There are communities across this country, my child lives in one of them, one of my children, who has not invested in that below ground infrastructure, and every time it rains, things come up into their basement in houses that they don't want. And we are not sitting for that here in Rochester. Another area of investment is our streets and our sidewalks. And it's more than just concrete. They are improvements that create a more accessible community. These connections help us move around, creating access to shopping and dining, housing, entertainment venues, and cultural anchors here in our downtown. We have seen investments in our public spaces by creating cosmopolitan canopies. It's a term I love to use. Patrick probably hates it, but it's something that's really meaningful to me. It's really about what he talked about. It's that connection place, that place where every single person in this city that comes downtown feels safe and comfortable and welcome. So investing to create spaces for every resident to feel welcoming and to gather for events, celebrations, and everyday interactions has been part of our focus. We're right by one of them. Soldiers Field Memorial Park, for example, is an amazing community asset that is getting a much-needed update. A plan informed by our community, it is going to continue to help this be a place where we can make connections to each other, to our past, to our memories, all while leaving a wonderful asset for future generations. Discovery Walk, a unique 4-block linear pathway just north to our north, is now almost finished, and it's connecting the core of our downtown, the existing new Discovery Square developments, to our beloved Soldiers Field Park. This was a priority for me when I became mayor because I wanted the community to understand that these investments and the connection to the infrastructure that they love and care about is important, and it's for you. It's for our community, and I wanted them to feel that, and I think this walk is going to provide that connection. And we also have new projects on the horizon. The Zumbro River is a natural but underutilized connection that flows through our downtown and our adjacent neighborhoods. The city's 6th Street Bridge project, as well as the various proposed riverfront developments along our river, offer a vision for a new public amenity, water access, housing, trails, and business opportunities. When this vision is realized, the community will find a new relationship to the Zumbro River, one that I think they're going to love. Another community asset is the soon-to-be Link Bus Rapid Transit. Link is a public transportation system that will provide free or easy access for residents, businesses, and downtown visitors to entertainment, jobs, and services along the almost 3-mile corridor through our community, through our city, creating an even more accessible downtown. As we reflect on these investments, it is important to also remember that the investments in public infrastructure from the DMC initiative have many benefits to our entire community, not just the downtown, including freeing up resources that the city would have had to spend downtown are now going to be available to be spent outside of the downtown area. And I think one of the other features we forget is that we have had community engagement from the beginning, and we will continue to have that community engagement through a variety of options, some including co-design and others as well, but it makes this a place for us. Physical investment and these connections are not the only thing that make Rochester stand out. It's the people that are here. People like you who live here, who work here, who invest here, who discover and innovate here. It really is a truly exciting time to be in Rochester. So you're going to hear a little bit more from some of our speakers, and I want to ask Dr. Clark Otley, the president of the DMC EDA Board of Directors, medical director for Mayo Clinic's platform, and a highly regarded dermatologic surgeon, to the podium here to share a little bit more information from a different perspective. Dr. Otley.
Patrick, that's a ta-da, Mayor. So I've been traveling quite a bit lately and came in last night on a flight and just reflected with a colleague I was with from Iowa, like it feels good to be back in the Midwest. We are so lucky to live in a community like this, and I think it's easy to take it for granted, but you can kind of feel it when you come back home. So, so excited and appreciative for all the things that everybody here and so many people in our community have done on the Destination Medical Center and our great community initiatives. DMC, the city, the county, and the state, all dedicated and hardworking with our community partners. So I'm going to share thoughts about 2 of our strategic initiatives that kind of demonstrate the type of impact that DMC has had. The first is our proactive approach to business recruitment of life science and biotechnology companies. So as a physician and a scientist, I'm all about Discovery Square. I love Discovery Square. So everything that has to do with health, I'm very, very supportive of. And Discovery Square, the district and the buildings really are that manifestation of our investment in helping improve human health. Our partner Mortensen has been outstanding in every way. They've stretched themselves and they've made investments before there were actual contracts so that they were ready to respond to those technologies rather than waiting and catching up. That's been very, very helpful. Discovery Square is a place of cures. Right over there, now there are new technologies being developed. They range from the mundane, helping people with sore knees and sore hips, to the really life-saving ones, helping people with cancer, helping people with dementia, the stuff of the real hard stuff of life. It really is the most important work on the planet, in my opinion. A lot of years, this kind of innovation has happened organically. Individual scientists meet with industry partners and broach a relationship and develop some technology together. And one of the things that Destination Medical Center and Discovery Square has allowed us to do under the auspices of DMC is be thoughtful, proactive, and purposeful. And that's one of my messages is DMC is thoughtful, proactive, and very, very purposeful. We plan out the future rather than just let it happen to us. So our team from DMC is out there in the world and out there in the community looking for opportunities, looking for the best technology, and then recruiting those companies to come back to Rochester, Minnesota, where they're delighted to work with the physicians and scientists of Mayo Clinic to make a difference and advance their technologies from the lab to the bedside. That proactive approach takes a lot of hard work from a lot of people. We're deeply indebted. I see Mike Flynn standing back there. Thank you, Mike. Chris Shad is somewhere in the crowd, but it's not just them. It's a whole community of people. So we've got state and local partners ready, heavily involved. The Chamber, Innovation Exchange, Mayo Clinic Business Development, Greater MSP, Medical Alley, Mortenson, Colliers, Deed, and the governor have all been very supportive of the recruitment of the best companies in the world to partner on our advancement of healthcare. And with those companies come jobs, good jobs, economic development, taxes, and all the things that help our community to thrive. In 2023, we've been in more than 25 markets, hosted 80 influencers, generated more than 100 leads, and had our message in front of tens of thousands of key targets. So well done. The second program I want to highlight for me was kind of an unexpected outcome of DMC, and that is people have started to look to DMC to do extra things. And one of those was that as they were out searching the world for economic development opportunities, they realized there was a program from the Department of Economic Development and Employment, I got that wrong, Department of Employment and Economic Development in Minnesota called the Main Street Revitalization Program. And they applied with community members. We got not one, but 2 of those grants. And I'd like to explain a few of those things, the outcomes from those. So small businesses are what make our community feel like home. They give us that unique flavor that people desire, and it's really the bread and butter of a lot of businesses in our community. So through this grant program, which was not just a grant program, it was a competitive process where entrepreneurs committed 70% of the cost of an infrastructure improvement, and the DEED program provided 30% matching. So it was really a commitment on both sides. And I have to say that program has been a resounding success. Bottom line, we brought more than about $4 million worth of economic development funding into our community to enhance the businesses of those entrepreneurs and to improve our community. And we did so in a very thoughtful way, trying to level the playing field to allow groups that had traditionally had more difficulty obtaining public grant funding, give them a more fair shake at that. Some of the statistics of the program are 71 businesses received funds. 43 of those were retail and dining, 28% of those were BIPOC-run businesses, and the average grant was $60,000. So the proactive business development, recruitment of biotechnology, and the Main Street Revitalization Grant Program are just 2 of the examples of that thoughtful, proactive approach that DMC and our community partners have engaged in to have a deep and meaningful impact on our community. And that impact, mark my word, will continue to ripple for decades. So among the wonderful people who are doing the great work are Wafa El Khalifa. She is our DMC Equitable Development Coordinator. Wafa is going to share some exciting news of the great work she and many others are doing in this area. I want to give a ta-da to Wafa.
Well, hello, everyone. Okay. Good evening. It's so great to see so many familiar faces, friends, partners, colleagues, and it's also great to see so many new faces. I got the opportunity to connect with some of you earlier as you were visiting the Equitable Economic Development tent that we have set up there. But in case I did not get a chance to connect with you, my name is Wafa El Khalifa, and I work for Destination Medical Center as the Equitable Development Coordinator. On behalf of my colleagues at DMC ADA, I welcome you to this space, and I hope you are enjoying the event so far. In the preparation for my speech, I thought of the following questions. What does an ideal community look like? What does community mean to you or mean to me? I moved to Rochester 21 years ago from a very collective or communal culture in Oman to what appeared to me a very individualistic culture here in Rochester. It felt very isolating, and I'm unable to socially connect or feel a sense of community. Because we are wired to be socially connected, the period of isolation made me value a sense of community even more. For the first time, I was able to share my lived experiences when I participated as one of the community co-designers for Discovery Walk Linear Park project, where it's close to where we're gathering here today. The co-designers' lived experiences and personal stories were included in the design of the park. Through the experience of community co-design, I learned about the importance of in promoting social connection through intentionally creating infrastructure that promotes resilience, prosperity, and advances community health in order to create America's City for Health. In 2018, Dr. Paul Romer won the Nobel Prize in Economics for integrating technological innovations into long-run macroeconomic analysis. The main observation in his contribution was the diffusion of ideas fosters economic and productivity growth. We develop new ideas by establishing social connections, where we interact and learn new ideas from others. Social connection was and continues to be the vehicle for knowledge, innovations, inventions, to travel between geographies and generations. By prioritizing social connection, we were able to design a public space in Rochester with heated sidewalk to remove the barrier for community members with mobility challenges. With intentional social connection, we were able to encourage construction companies to participate in the inclusive workforce employer designation. Through utilizing social connection, we were able to uncover the real barriers our BIPOC communities face in their pathways to home ownership. Infusing diversity, equity, and inclusion into community engagement isn't an easy task. And desegregating a community to create a sense of belonging and understands and respects our community, all people at a time, can be one of the most challenging missions for any organization. But it needs to be done, and it needs to be accomplished with consistency, transparency, and humility. By prioritizing equitable engagement, we can achieve a more prosperous, vibrant, and sustainable economy in the Rochester community for all of us. What we've seen in our community is the success of utilizing community co-design as an engagement tool that prioritizes the diverse inclusion of community members in designing public spaces, policies, procedures, in projects like the Bloomberg Philanthropies Mayor's Challenge, Equity in the Built Environment, or the Main Street Grant Program, or the BIPOC home ownership co-design that was led by the Housing Coalition here in Rochester, or the Coalition for Rochester Area Housing. And this engagement tool is one of many tools we emphasize the importance of social connection, particularly for communities that have been historically excluded. To answer the question I shared earlier, What does an ideal community look like? It's a community where social connection is intentional, prioritized, utilized, and celebrated. There are more of you when you are connected to others. And I'll repeat that again. There are more of you when you're connected to others. So through unleashing your fullest potential, we can lead and transform an I community to a we community. I would like to conclude with a quote from the American philosopher David Spangler. Some people think they are in community, but they are only in proximity. True community requires commitment and openness. It is a willingness to extend yourself, to encounter and know the other. Thank you very much.
You can see why we are so fortunate to have Wafa as a member of our team, leading the culture of inclusion and access and thinking more broadly about our work. And so we are so fortunate. Wafa, thank you very much. I said there, I used the term tada. As those of you who attended our annual meeting on the riverfront a couple of years ago, you recall that we had this beautiful lighting ceremony that took place along the riverfront. And just so you know, we have that baked into our budget this coming year to install that lighting as a temporary, semi-permanent installation into our waterfront as we begin to re-embrace the Zumbo River as a unique asset. And last year, we had the mural painted on the parking ramp, the idea that we can beautify basic infrastructure through artists who can use simple tools and paint to give a sense of dimension to what we oftentimes just come across as basic infrastructure. Now you're starting to see the crosswalk being painted at 3rd Street and the flood wall along the river that's been painted. And so we use this event to keep showing the actual change that's happening in our community. And tonight we're so pleased to be able to invite one of the artists who participated in the Discovery Walk art installation, and we're going to ask him and invite Ayub Haji Omar to come to the podium and describe his artwork, which you may have seen on the bench that is temporarily placed here, and then the more permanent installation that we're already seeing. So please join me in welcoming Ayub.
Good evening, everyone. Henri Matisse once said, "Creativity takes courage." Might I add, creativity and innovation takes courage. My name is Ayub Haj Omar, and for today I have been asked to make some remarks. You see, my family is originally from Somalia, a country on the easternmost part of Africa, also known as the nation of poets. Our culture revolves around poetry. We have ordinary conversations in poetry. In the old days, you couldn't be a lawyer unless you were a poet. The courtroom became a theater of sorts. Lawyers used linguistics and harmonious expression to prove their client's innocence. Now, this probably isn't the first thing you think about when you hear about Somalia. Perhaps it's war, famine, instability. Although diminishing, these things are still prevalent in our society. But there's also resilience, inspiration, and success. We have at times turned tragedy into triumph. From recuperating in refugee camps to becoming doctors, lawyers, engineers, entrepreneurs, teachers, legislators, parliamentarians, judges, professors, mayors, and the list goes on. This spirit of resilience, inspiration, and success has shaped my work on this project. as it is also heavily present right here in Rochester at the Mayo Clinic and through the Destination Medical Center. I believe this is what makes for such a robust economy. I want to take a moment to thank the design team led by Cohen and Partners for working very closely with me in developing this idea, and to everyone who has contributed in making Poems at the Park a reality. Thank you to the architects and engineers, the plumbers and the electricians, executives and community members, and everyone else involved. Your work surely does not go unnoticed. The future belongs to creatives, innovators, and change makers. Thank you.
Innovators, change makers, and creatives, and that's what I see when I look out at this room tonight. When I travel the country and internationally, we oftentimes, in promoting Rochester, we oftentimes make light of our weather here, right? We talk about it's really a tough weather, tough environment, and but I want to conclude by saying that it's really, if you don't choose to come to Rochester for the weather, come for the climate. A climate of innovation, a climate of collaboration, a climate of cooperation. But tonight, you also get the weather. So enjoy the rest of your evening. We will have food and refreshments, so thank you all very much.